They tried to bury him. With every insult, every shovel of dirt, they thought they were ending his story. But instead of breaking, he shook it off and stepped up. What they meant to bury him with, he used to climb. The well that was supposed to be his grave became his staircase. But how did it come to this? What made a village turn their backs? And what made that donkey rise when the world gave up on him? Let me take you back to a quiet mountain village, to a day that started like any other, and to a creature no one believed in. Until everything changed. They laughed at him. They called him names: stubborn, slow, useless. Just a donkey, they said. Just another burden. But what they didn't know, what they never even thought to imagine, was that this donkey, this ordinary creature everyone had given up on, would soon teach them a lesson they'd never forget. He didn't fight. He didn't speak. He didn't defend himself. And yet, he would change everything. This is one of those inspiring tales that stays with you, because it's not about heroism or fame. It's about quiet strength, the power of words, and a moment of personal triumph that came from the unlikeliest of places. There was a small mountain village where life moved slowly. Dirt roads twisted through fields of dry grass. The people were simple and hard-working, but sometimes they were quick to judge. Among them lived an old farmer. He had gray in his beard, tired hands, and eyes that had seen too much. He lived alone, quietly, on the edge of the village. His only companion? A donkey. But this donkey wasn't young or strong. His back was bent, his fur dull and worn, his legs stiff from years of labor. His eyes were gentle, but tired. He moved at his own slow pace, and because of that, people laughed at him. Children tossed stones at him as he passed. Teens snickered when he tripped over uneven stones. Even grown men joked, "Why does the old man keep that thing? Can't even carry a sack of grain." The farmer never scolded them. He never argued. When someone asked why he kept the donkey, he simply said, "Some things carry more than we see." Of course, no one understood what that meant. Until one day, everything changed. It started like any other morning. The farmer was mending his fence, while the donkey wandered a few steps away, sniffing the ground. And then, without warning, there was a sharp crack in the earth. The donkey had fallen into an old, forgotten well behind the barn. It was deep, too deep for the donkey to climb out, but not deep enough to kill him. The farmer heard the sound and rushed over. Soon others from the village came too. They looked into the well, saw the donkey lying there, covered in dust. "What a shame," someone said. "Not worth the trouble," said another. Then someone added coldly, "Just bury him. He's done anyway." A few villagers nodded. One grabbed a shovel. "No point wasting time or rope," they muttered. "Better to fill the well and move on." The farmer stood in silence, and just like that, they began. One shovel of dirt, then another, and another. Dust rose into the air. Down in the well, something unexpected happened. As the dirt landed on the donkey's back, he shook it off and stepped up. More dirt. Shake it off. Step up. Again. Shake it off. Step up. What they intended to bury him with, he was using to climb. At first, no one noticed, but then a child looked over the edge and shouted, "He's rising! He's not giving up!" People leaned in. The mood shifted. They watched in stunned silence as the donkey, step by step, shook off the dirt and rose higher. He didn't bray. He didn't panic. He just kept going. Shake it off. Step up. Shake it off. Step up. His slow rhythm echoed the rhythm of life itself. And then he reached the top. The well that was supposed to be his grave became his staircase. He stepped out, covered in dust, tired, but alive, standing. The village was silent. Their laughter had turned to awe. No one looked at the donkey the same way again. He had shown them something words could not explain, something felt deep in the chest, a truth that speaks to the part of us that remembers how it feels to be at the bottom. That night, the farmer sat by a small fire, and a few villagers joined him. He told them gently, "Life will throw dirt on you. Sometimes on purpose, sometimes because people think it's easier that way. You'll be underestimated, ignored, even pushed down." He paused. But every insult, every failure, every loss can be the very thing you use to rise. That's the power of choice, and that's the power of words. He looked at them, calm but certain, because sometimes the dirt isn't the problem. It's what you do with it that matters. That donkey became a symbol of strength in the village. Children stopped throwing stones. Adults stopped whispering behind their hands. The old donkey walked the streets with his head held just a little higher. Not because he'd become powerful, but because he had proven that power isn't loud. It doesn't need a title. It doesn't wear a crown. Sometimes power looks like a tired creature who refuses to stay buried. And what he showed that day was more than persistence. It was a lesson in how personal triumphs are born. Not in the spotlight, not on stages, but in silence, in struggle, in the decision to keep going. That's what no one had expected, that such a small creature could teach such a big lesson. But that's often how it is, isn't it? We expect strength to roar, but it whispers. We expect winners to shine, but sometimes they're covered in dirt. And the most inspiring tales don't come from those who've never fallen, but from those who fall and rise anyway. This story is for anyone who's ever been stuck in a place they didn't choose. Anyone who's ever felt buried by people's opinions. Anyone who's been called names, ignored, or doubted. Maybe you're there right now. Maybe people told you that you couldn't, that you wouldn't, that you'll never rise. But you can. And the climb doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. One shovel of dirt at a time. Shake it off. Step up. Every word they throw at you, use it. Turn pain into power, doubt into fuel. Let your silence speak louder than their noise. Because your story, your real story, isn't about who laughed at you. It's about how you responded. Your scars don't make you weak. They make you real. And real is what inspires. So the next time someone tries to bury you in doubt, in shame, in failure, remember the donkey. Remember that you don't have to be fast. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep stepping up. Keep shaking it off. And one day, when they least expect it, you'll rise. And they'll watch. And maybe, just maybe, you'll change everything.